This morning I'm talking about the foundation of discipleship, which is actually a path, and it is definitely not the path of least resistance. Just letting you know that. It's not the path of least resistance. I heard that on the song this morning. I thought, this is so perfect. This is so perfect to talk about the opposite. So the foundation of discipleship, I found a quote in the book New Era Community, verse 70, that is the language of the disciple. So let me start with this verse. It says, "My hands know not repose. My head upholds the weight of the works. My mind searches out the solidity of solutions. The power of experience defeats alien infirmity. At the point of loss, do I pour in new possibilities. On the line of retreat, I build strongholds. In the yes of the enemy, I wave the banner. I call the day of fatigue a day of repose. I recognize a manifestation of non-understanding as rubbish on the threshold. I can conceal the sacred in the folds of a working garment. A miracle means for me only the mark of a horseshoe. Courage means for me only the arrow in the quiver. Resoluteness for me is only the daily bread." That's the language of a disciple. Agni Yoga. Agni Yoga is intended to bring fundamental changes into your life. If you practice the living ethics of Agni Yoga, living ethics will illumine your mind, your thinking, leading you toward the banner of service. Service is the mark of discipleship. Service is the mark of discipleship. It is also the goal of discipleship. So this morning, please try to relax and concentrate on what I'm sharing. Take a deep breath. Set aside any worries or problems and just concentrate on the teaching. When we concentrate on the teaching, we will feel a change within us. It will put us above our personality. It will give us a little more power over our personality. So take out time during the week. And when you find events and situations overwhelming you, listen to one of our Sunday talks on White Mountain's YouTube. You can go to our website. This is a little ad. But it's for you. It's not for us. Believe me, it's a lot of hard work to every Sunday upload those YouTube videos. But even sometimes we go to the YouTube videos and watch and listen and pay attention and learn something new. So you can go to the White Mountain WMEA or White Mountain Education Association, the website, and down at the bottom of the website you'll see the little YouTube icon. Just click on it and it will take you right over there to today's Sunday talk. See how it takes you above your worries and your problems. If you create such an attitude, if you concentrate your life on the teaching, you will enter the power of Discipleship. Once this happens, you will see that you are slowly becoming superior to your personality life. This is the goal of discipleship, to separate yourself from the personality life and make you live your life as a soul, an awakened soul. We read many books and hear many lectures, but there may not be any progress. Now, that may come as a surprise. I know people who have invited me into their homes and take me to the bookcases, and I see all these beautiful books, and none of them have a crease in the middle of that backing. How can you read these books and still have them in pristine shape? So, we read many books and hear many lectures, but there may not be any progress. So the idea of, with these books filling the shelves of so many bookcases in so many people's homes, some of them are just buying the books and they display these books so beautifully and proudly, and yet they haven't even read them. So this is the next step, reading them but still not progressing. And this is why, when you are hearing lectures and reading various books, the information is accumulating around the outside layer of your aura. It's accumulating. This information is accumulating around the outside layer of your aura. When your knowledge accumulates, it builds a shell around you, and you die spiritually from suffocation under the weight of the unused information. This reminds me of someone comes in for counseling and we talk about the teaching and I share something from the teaching with them and they say, I already know that. But that's not practicing what you know. And that's what's more important than spending all that money on all those books, on displaying on all the bookshelves. It's putting into practice what you know so you do not suffocate, spiritually suffocate from the unused information. Knowledge can lead to death if it does not help in the process of your transformation. If it does not, in other words, if it does not awaken you. Here's a story. It is said that soon after his enlightenment, the Buddha, I've read this story a half a dozen times and I just love it and it's just perfect for this morning, so deal with it. It is said that soon after his enlightenment, the Buddha passed a person on the road who was struck by the extraordinary radiance and peacefulness of his presence. The man stopped and asked, "My friend, what are you? Are you a celestial being or a god?" "No," said the Buddha. "Well, then, are you some kind of a magician or a wizard?" Again, the Buddha said, "No." "Are you a man?" "No." "Well, my friend, what then are you?" The Buddha replied, "I am awake." For example, concentration. Concentration is the ability to take the light of knowledge, learning, and information and use it for livingness. That's concentration. It is to take the light of knowledge, learning, and information and use it for your livingness. You say, for example, I'm not going to talk today, and I'm going to walk more nobly. By concentrating on silence and nobility, you begin to actualize these qualities. Let us say that you are informed about joy. So interesting, and White Mountain sponsors a Facebook called Agni Yoga Living Ethics Community, and as you subscribe to that Facebook page, you have a series of questions to ask or answer, and one of the questions is, what is joy? 99.9% of those that answer the question do not know. They usually try to define happiness, or, they give an answer that they've heard somebody else or read what somebody else has said about it, but it's not. So concentrating on joy and striving to bring joy into our life, into our environment, joy affects our physical, emotional, and mental life. Focus your mind. To answer this question, focus your mind, your every action, your every feeling, your every thought upon the idea of joy, and you will have an answer. Strive in joy, and you will have an answer. One day, a young boy's father brought a big clock. As the boy shared his story of joy, he said, I found it was very interesting to watch the clock, for the hands would move, and at certain times the clock would chime. And at certain place it even showed the new moon and full moon. He said, I was fascinated with all of these things. One day the boy wanted to know how all the movements and bells of the clock were organized. So he took the back cover off. He was filled with a glee to see lots of gears and wheels that were turning at different speeds with each movement of the pendulum. Hours and hours that young lad watched in joy and ecstasy and gratitude. Years later, that experience was a door for the boy to admire the motion of the solar system, to contemplate the motion of the galaxy and zodiac in relation to our little planet, and to think about the rhythm and cycles of the infinite movement of the stars, like a big clock, every part related to every other part. Who knows with what ecstasy the motion of cosmos fills the heart of the Arhat? Who knows what a symphony he sees in the motion of the stars? His mind goes deep into concentration, deep into contemplation about the one who conducts the symphony of the cosmos. This is the awareness, the awakeness of discipleship. When your waking consciousness is filled with higher ideas, your mind starts to actualize them into your life. Concentration is the pump that injects the gas into the carburetor of your mechanism and enables you to move forward. If you were to collect all that you know You are a great master in terms of the knowledge that you possess. But this would not mean anything because all this knowledge is in a sealed tank. And it's not getting into your personality to put them into operation. The first step in bringing your knowledge into action is to reject any impressions which come to your mind and hinder its focus. So now you're learning meditation. I can't begin to tell you how many times people have told me they want to sign up for a meditation course. Okay, they sign up. And I don't hear from them for 6 months, even though they're supposed to respond every month. I don't hear from them for 6 months. And then they send me a note and say, I can't meditate. There's too much going on. First of all, the kids are knocking on the door. My husband wants me to fix breakfast. So then I tried to meditate in the afternoon. I'm too tired to meditate in the afternoon. And the stories go on and on and on. Some people say, I have so many thoughts in my mind, I can't concentrate on beauty. Or I cannot concentrate on joy. I'm just not made for meditation. So wait. Stop and think, what does it mean? You want to reject any impressions. See this? This is the first step to learning concentration and then meditation. You're going to reject any impressions that come into your mind that hinders its focus. Imagine me talking this morning and saying, oh, wow, you should see that squirrel outside the front door. See, I have to reject that little squirrel that's running around in my mind that's hindering its focus. When our attention has been distracted by such an impression, we are putting in our mind a hole in our tank that leaks our knowledge out onto the life uselessly, like the armchair philosopher. Hey. And it does not find its way to our carburetor. Have you ever sat down and listened to an armchair philosopher? You would think they were the most brilliant person in the world, unless you had experienced the knowledge that they are sharing with you. When you experience the knowledge that they are spewing out, then you know that they have leaks. They haven't put that knowledge into their carburetor, see? When you are listening to one thing and thinking of something else, you are in a semi-hypnotic condition, which puts you in a very bad mental state. A disciple strives not to allow this to happen. A disciple is in movement, in action. For a disciple, action is to what? To contact light. To assimilate the light, and that light produces action. The average person collects knowledge, puts it into their pocket, and goes to sleep. Discipleship is an opportunity. In every life, an opportunity is given to us to be a disciple. It is like a boat that periodically comes to our shore usually at the most unexpected time. We draw open the curtain and look outside to the shore, and we see the boat of discipleship. You say, okay, let me get dressed. I need to have something to eat, so I get dressed and then I go out into the kitchen and fix some oatmeal or whatever. Then I do the dishes. And then I tell everybody goodbye. And this and that. But when we finally got to the ocean, we saw the boat had already departed. We were late. You are going to board the boat of discipleship at the right time and with the right preparation, so that in your rush you do not leave something behind. Sometimes this chance gets lost for 50 years or even 50 lives, and then it comes again. So in a way, it reminds me of this conference that we have coming up in about 10 days. And this conference can be your boat. If you have not registered for the conference, you have until this coming Friday to register. It's a donation only, so you can afford it. You can afford it. Register. At the conclusion of the conference, most of the presentations will be available by recording. Don't miss the boat. Go to the website, register. That's the boat. So what other form does the boat take? Sometimes it is a man or a woman, a group, a lecture, a seminar, or conference, an opportunity to make you strive to a higher level of consciousness. See, now look, I'm really serious about this when people say, I really want to come to the conference, but I work. Well, what's your job? Well, I don't really like my job, but I have to earn a living, and so, it's my job. But the boat is not going to wait for you. Every opportunity has been made for this conference to allow us to either be there or to register and get the lectures later. Just register for donation. Of course, it's better to attend because why? Then you become part of the group. Thinking, thought forms, energy, joy. But don't miss the boat. These kinds of opportunities are the boat. Don't put that job that you hate or dislike ahead of the boat. It may be another 50 lifetimes. Wow, I'd quit my job. Well, I did. If you catch these opportunities and adore them and really dedicate your life, then you caught the boat. Over the years, many groups have been in existence. Maybe 10,000 people have attended lectures, but most of them disappeared. What happened? They did not come back because they were not yet ready to catch the boat. Others recognized the boat and jumped in with their souls, no matter what the cost. Act, think, feel, and behave as a disciple. This is a very important suggestion. Most people have various images of failure, images that they are too small, too young, or too old, or images of poor health, some kind of neuroses caused by stress or obsessive behavior, hypochondria, stupidity and unhappiness, and the list goes on and on and on. These images are impressed in the mind. All of these images are impressed upon the mind. Discipleship is a fight between failure and success images. So we are going to overcome any failure images with its opposite, see, by thinking that each of us is a disciple. Discipleship is increasing ability and increasing efficiency. Here's another definition of discipleship: increasing ability and increasing efficiency. Once you have these things, increasing ability and increasing efficiency, nobody and nothing can conquer you. Increasing ability and efficiency. Never encourage or nourish those images of self-defeat. If you fail, say, aha, I wanted to fail. See, there's something, I know, doesn't that sound like, what do you mean? Aha, I wanted to fail. Well, that's an excuse. Now, however, in the world of discipleship, we say, I want to be successful. With this attitude, even if you meet failure, you will stand up again and again and again, and eventually you're going to be successful. Failure is to surrender to the forces that are controlling you. Failure is surrendering to the forces that are controlling you. You are an able person. You are going to think that you are an able person, and that failure is not going to overcome you. No matter how defeated you felt in the past, now you are going to stand up and fight. This is why one of the reasons they say a disciple is a spiritual warrior. So immediately when a self-defeating image comes, throw it out. You're going to see how difficult this is because we're not used to throwing it out. How many people concentrate on joy? It's easier to concentrate on our problems, our situations, our worries. Oh my God. It's easy. Why? Because it's a habit. We've habitually trained ourselves to think this way. So immediately when a self-defeating image comes, throw it out. By doing this, this is when discipleship starts. And it is the greatest fun to watch and to observe how these things are happening and what those things are that present themselves to you as a failure image. It truly is a game. Shocking, but fun. So failure images are of three kinds: the past, the present, and the future. For instance, if your imagination puts you into a hospital bed as an invalid, immediately knock this image down and say, when death comes, I will be alive. I will be conscious. And suddenly I will go out of my body in happiness. Discipleship is self-actualization. It is bringing into expression the beauty and the power that is within us. That's discipleship. You know, when I hear people say, I don't like the word disciple, that's an old age word. Well, make up another word, but remember what the definition of a disciple is: bringing into expression the beauty and the power that is within you. That's discipleship. When you discipline yourself, you are a disciple. When you are a disciple, you are an able person. An able person. The greatest, can you imagine living in a spiritual community of disciples with able people? Do you know what it is like? It's extraordinary. It truly is extraordinary. You wonder, where does that energy come? Where does the determination, the persistence come from? It comes from their discipleship, that inner beauty and inner power. When you are a disciple, you are an able person. The greatest success is to conquer the lower self. Once you conquer your lower self, then everything is conquered in life. If you really consider why, until now, why you have failed in certain ways, you're going to find that it is because your lower nature conquered you. So now is the time to conquer your lower nature. The boat is here now. And either you're going to jump into the boat and do these things, or you're going to sit on the ocean beach and weep. Which one are you going to do? A disciple must be always awake. And with that conscious life, they must always observe their physical, emotional, and mental actions. That takes concentration. They must be aware of what's going on in their life. So they're concentrating, they're aware, they're awake, they observe. They're not walking automatons. Every time you are unaware of what's going on in your nature, that's when you fail. So try to be conscious of how you are sitting, how you are walking, what kind of movements you are making with your hands and face and eyes. Try to be conscious of what is going on in your feeling nature and what is going on in your mind. Discipleship cannot be built until you have a strong foundation. And that foundation is that you are awake, that you are conscious. The more conscious you are, the more you are your own self. And let me put it another way. The more conscious you are, the more you own yourself. The less conscious you are, the more others own you. What are those others? They are forces and entities and thoughts and emotions and influences and people. What is the sense of responsibility? The sense of responsibility. Well, let me tell you first about a young girl and her teacher. One day, the young girl typed a letter for her teacher. When she brought the letter to him, he read it and then tore it up. "Why did you do that?" she asked. "Well," the teacher said, "I feel that the man who is going to read this letter has changed his heart. The letter will not have a new message for him, and besides, it's going to aggravate him." An untimely letter creates negative reactions. Another time, the teacher had the girl retype a letter 3 or 4 times because he kept changing one word that he was not satisfied with. The girl remembered the teacher had told her that one must always try to send pure and clear ideas in order not to mislead the reader and create false impressions. The teacher said, "I want him to read exactly what I feel." The sense of responsibility is a state of consciousness in which you own your higher self. You know the why, the how, and the when of what you are doing and saying. For example, most people never think or watch how they are walking, how they are doing things, even how they are sitting. So do these things consciously. For example, you say, "This is how I am going to sit." And then observe yourself sitting. Everybody is straightening themselves. And others say, "I'm not going to move." Notice the change in yourself when you sit consciously. This example is like an ABC step of being, but this concept of total attention should be applied to all that we do. A disciple must not do anything unconsciously. Do not say anything that you do not want to say. Boy, that's a tough one. Do not say anything that you do not want to say. Do not feel, this is even tougher. Do not feel anything that you do not want to feel. Most of us have a way to go yet, but we have the goal, right? Not to feel anything that we do not want to feel. First, you should want to feel and then start feeling. First, you should want to feel and then start feeling. Every unconscious movement, thought, or feeling is a great sign that you are under the control of forces of which you have no knowledge. Once outside forces start controlling you, you go lower and lower and lower and lower. The concept of evolution directly applies to discipleship and conscious action. Evolution can be defined as emancipation from the power of outside control and gaining control upon yourself. Evolution is the liberation from the forces that consciously or unconsciously control you. As you free yourself from the control of unidentified forces and energies, then to that degree, you become in control of yourself. When you break the control of these forces and energies, then you are the master, a master. Because a master is one that controls all the forces that were controlling them before they were conscious. Discipleship, therefore, is a path of gaining conscious control upon your thoughts, emotions, and body. Isn't that interesting? See, why change the word discipleship? Unless you've got a problem with it, then change it, but make sure it doesn't change the definition, right? See, to me, discipleship is so incredibly beautiful and so important, and it gives us purpose and eventually reveals the purpose of our soul just by practicing discipleship. When you start gaining control upon your physical nature, you start seeing that a new battlefield is opening up. That battlefield is the battlefield of your emotions and imagination. Emotions and imagination. These two things go together. So discipleship is victory over our emotions and imagination. Try very hard to control your imagination, your desires, your wishes, and emotions. Immediately when you feel any kind of emotion, bring it in front of you and question it, saying something like, "Who are you? What do you want?" See, it's right here. What do you want? Then you are either going to say, "Get lost," or "Welcome." This is what you are going to do. If you start doing this, then you are liberating yourself from emotional slavery. It is not just negative emotions that must be controlled, but all emotions. Discipleship is mental control. When you start advancing on the field of emotional purification, the mental battlefield opens up. Keep in mind that as a disciple, you mature only on the battlefield. It is not an accident that Krishna taught Arjuna wisdom. Where? Where did he teach? On the battlefield. You will never mature if your life is not a battlefield. Great masters are great because they create great battles within us. Create a battle and a war within yourself. Do not work for luxury. For instance, you should say to your mind, "I don't want you to think that way." Your mind starts thinking more that way because you did not want it. The battle starts, and the battle is fiery. Master M says, luxury is the grave of the soul. Luxury means a state of consciousness which is really happy, in which the person puts up their feet and sleeps. The Master says, we prepare warriors for the light. We prepare warriors for the light. He says, day and night, our enemy is fighting against us. And that enemy, he says, is the enemy of light, the enemy of discipleship, and the enemy of progress. Knowing that we have so many enemies, let's start fighting. Discipleship is the beginning of the fight. So next week, I'm going to be talking about the relationship. It's even a more difficult lecture to sit and listen to, let me tell you. It's the relationship of the disciple to a teacher. So if you have the courage to join us next Sunday, you'll learn a lot. even more so why this is not a path of least resistance. Anyway, thank you for coming this morning. I do hope you register for the conference. Don't miss the boat.